I'd like to call to order the July 5, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting for Pottstown Borough Council. Would you rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let me start by giving a big thank you to Amy Wolf, Amy Francis, our Grand Marshals of the parade yesterday. Yeah, go ahead, applaud, please. And all the volunteers that helped over the last year to make yesterday so successful. It was wonderful. So far, the best Fourth I've been to, and maybe better next year. And what were the other? What was the name on the shirts? Schleppers.
Schlepper. It's a Jewish term, Yiddish.
We saw them all over the place. They were helping out. It was wonderful.
Yep, Trinita and Lisa and I both volunteered yesterday, so we each have a
That was great.
Schlepper shirt.
Well, good job of it. Okay, under subcommittees, infrastructure, Councilor Lebedinsky.
It's in your packet.
Okay, transportation, same. Efficient methods.
No meeting.
Got it. And ordinance review, Councilor Proskauer. Nope, good. Economic development. Peggy?
Good evening, councilors, Madam Mayor. So we hope that you have seen that there are people out that are on the street now that are cleaning up trash on a regular basis. We have checked with our contractor. It has been going on. We've been working with the scheduling of it and some of the inclement weather. But overall, we're having a positive effect because the contract owner contacted us today and said that some of the people on the 400 block even came out with brooms to help them clean up the trash. So I think that it can only go up from here. It is a work in progress. We are looking at including some light weeding along with it, but we want you to know that we are working on it, so. And we think that it's overall been a very positive thing. We also are looking at extending it, but it's for all, it's whenever they can get it all done. So if we go past the library, we have to make sure that there is enough time to get both sides of the street done and the original geographic area. We continue to coordinate with Public Works and PART for their areas, and it is an add-on to those things that they do. As far as FET goes, we are sold out for individual tickets, but there are still sponsorship opportunities available for that. And I'm happy to report that Pottstown small businesses, minorities, veterans, and women-owned that were targeted for grant monies of ARPA dollars out of the county. We are now at $189,000 that has been helping nearly 24 businesses in the borough. So that is a good thing.
Good.
Actively listed, there are 15 sales, 15 properties for sale, 35, these are commercial properties only, 35 leases. The leases are a multitude of different, some of them are single properties, some of them are combination of suites within properties, and the majority of them are located in TTN, followed by the downtown. And that is my report for economic development.
Okay, how about the land bank?
Land Bank is actively going through due diligence on multiple properties that are being offered at the judicial sale in August, the county's judicial sale. So the Land Bank will be making a decision, and I would like to recognize Deb Penrod, who is the chair of Land Bank, that is here this evening.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks. I guess I should announce, I just had eye surgery, and if I misread something later on tonight, I apologize, but we'll get through it. Emergency Services, Chief Hand, or anyone?
Chiefs in West Pottsgrove.
Oh, okay. Maybe Monday. How about Human Relations? Ms. Levengood, welcome.
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. July 4th was Independence Day, and we celebrated the 247th year of independence from Great Britain's rule. And July is National Ice Cream Month. And National Ice Cream Day is the third Sunday in July, July the 16th. And the commission's next meeting is Tuesday, July the 11th at 6 p.m. in council chambers, and all are welcome to attend.
Very good. Thank you. Library. Mindy, are you on?
I am.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I wanted to start with that we had an absolute fabulous time at Go Forth as well. The library loves to participate in that, and we look forward to it every year. Our summer reading is in full swing, so if you haven't registered yet, please go ahead and do so. You're running out of time to get some great prizes. And our events have been really well attended. We had 75 kids come to see our magician. We also had, I don't know what the count it was. I lost kind of like 85 for our Birds of Prey. And on the 26th, we're going to be having Kids Interactive Theater. So those are some fun things to set your calendars for. But summer reading's not only for children, it's also for the adults. So the adults are enjoying crafting, and the big event coming up is on the 21st. It's actually an after hours event, and it is at 6 o'clock. It's bingo night. So we have all our permits and everything are ready to go, and it's going to be a great fun bingo night. We have 10 rounds, and each round the baskets are valued at least $100 up to $500. So it's going to be a really fun night. We also partnered with the Pottstown Education Foundation to offer a Medicare information night. That's going to be on Wednesday, July 26th. That's at 6:30 at the library, and refreshments will be served. And I'm really excited to announce we're evaluating the building to determine what kinds of repairs we need, and to evaluate expanding the use for patrons. So that's going to be a multi-phase process, but I'm really excited about it so that we can even offer some more things for the wonderful town of Pottstown. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Ricketts. I don't see Councilor Kirkland. All right. Pottstown School District, Councilor Lindsay's not here. How about our Solicitor's General discussion? How can you enlighten us, Chuck?
I'll try, Dan. Good evening, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if I have a bad connection, but I'm struggling to hear you, so if you could just speak into the microphones, that'd be great. Last month, we talked about zoning and the zoning hearing board and variances, and that's one part of the municipality's planning code. The other part deals with actual subdivision and land development. So we thought that since we have a number of land developments that are listed in our agenda tonight, it might be just a good idea to review subdivision and land developments and how they relate to the municipality's planning code. Specifically, zoning regulates use of property, but subdivision and land development is actually the development and the construction of the property once plans are submitted. And as you guys all know, we have a planning commission that does a detailed review of plans. When we're talking subdivisions and land development, we're talking about utilities, we're talking about street widths, we're talking about parking areas, drive aisles, landscaping, trees, open space requirements, lighting, buffering, uh, dumpsters and solid waste facilities, all of things that are part of a land development or subdivision plan. So those are the items that the Planning Commission would look at. Obviously, the borough engineer plays a huge role in reviewing these plans to make sure they comply with our ordinance. We have several different types of development plans. We have major land development plans, we have minor land development plans, and we've also started a process, as you know, called a land development waiver. And while that sounds something that makes it easier, the only benefit of a land development waiver, and one of those, or two of those will be on your agenda tonight, the only thing that makes that different is that those are used when there are really no true planning issues associated with a small project. And so that would undergo review by the borough engineer, who would determine whether or not the plan complied with all the ordinances. And even in a land development waiver situation, the plan and the applicant would have to comply with all the SALDO regulations of the ordinance. It would be somewhat of a shortcut in a sense, because the Planning Commission would not be reviewing it, because there's really nothing for them to review if there's no true planning issues. Everything would be done by the borough engineer through review letters, and you guys would receive copies of those letters. So those would be the things that we would typically see coming through the borough. Generally, we have smaller projects because the borough is built out. We don't have a lot of huge projects, but once in a while we'll get a nice commercial project or a housing development. But typically what we're seeing is minor land developments, the redevelopment of existing properties, all of which would be typical for a borough of this type. I'm happy to answer any questions that council has specifically about our process or our ordinances, but later on in the agenda, we will see examples of requests for land development waivers, minor land developments, and the things that we've talked about here. Does anybody have any questions about the process or how we've been treating these for the past 15 years?
Hearing none? No. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome.
Okay. May we have the mayor's report?
Good evening. First, I wanted to thank the Amy's, Pottstown Go Forth volunteers, Rotary Club, police, and EMS for putting on amazing, fabulous 4th of July parade and festival. I want to also commend them for the quick cleanup afterwards. I'm wondering if maybe we can get some Go Forth volunteers to do cleanup all over. That would be amazing if the Amy's could arrange that. So I want to thank them for that. On Juneteenth, I celebrated the progress we've made as a nation on High Street with Denise Williams, and had the pleasure of awarding 7 students with small scholarships. And as part of my speech, I urged the audience to not only celebrate our diversity and come together as a community to build a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, but also to celebrate our commonality in humanity. And to do that, we must fight for what's right and stand up against injustice wherever we see it. At the 27th YWCA Tribute to Women, I want to congratulate all the winners, but especially Stephanie Sellers and Clara Johnson, both who are under the age of 13 and have done amazing accomplishments in their short, young lives. I attended a seminar on elder fraud with the Cybercrimes FBI unit. It was an all-day seminar, and I just want to put it out there, like, the numbers for 2022 are staggering. Please do not give out your personal information over the phone. The IRS does not call you. Your package is not lost by UPS. Do not respond to all the spam on your emails or your phones. There was over $980 million just in internet scams alone last year. I represent a lot of these clients who have their life savings taken away. Please, 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 if you are concerned that somebody's calling you and you're going to get arrested, then hang up and call them directly. Please don't give out any information over the phone. We had our Rotary changeover. So I want to congratulate Lauren McCloskey, which is our outgoing president. She did a wonderful job. And thank our incoming president, Dick Franz, who will be serving again. And I don't think she is here today, but I will mention her anyway. I want to congratulate our very own Tammy Botner, who is all over Pottstown, always, and she was awarded a Paul Harris Fellow. So I'm very proud of her. I had the honor of swearing in Officer Colby Goldsmith to the PPD. I think some of you recall a few months ago, I had an active shooter in my Philadelphia office. And as a result of that, we received active shooter training with Detective Rovin of the Philadelphia PD Counterterrorism Operations. So I wanted to share some important takeaways from that seminar and training that I learned is be aware of your surroundings at all times. Be aware of where the doors are. Be aware of where the windows are. If you see something that doesn't look right, please say something. Put your cell phones on silent and turn off the vibration. If you cannot escape, then hide or get on the floor and play dead. I know everyone has seen in the news, it's just devastating. On a daily basis, the shootings everywhere. And I feel like this is not going away. And I hate that we had to have active shooter training at work. That's crazy to me. I hate that a 7-year-old girl asked me, when I asked her if Pottstown could do anything like fun for her or what we could do for her, I hate that she asked me if I could stop the shooting. So I understand this is devastating, but it is not just here. It is everywhere. And what I will say to the residents of Pottstown is I'm grateful that we don't live in Philadelphia. I am not afraid to be in Pottstown, ever. And I walk everywhere. So unless you are involved in criminal activity or dealing with people who have anger issues, you do not need to be worried, okay? Be safe, be on the lookout, be aware of your surroundings. We had, unfortunately, a lot of funerals last month, and on a sad note, Pottstown lost one of the most beautiful people inside and out. 26-year-old Molly Adams of Pottstown lost her life to glioblastoma, and I will never forget racing our horses on Press Hill Road and teaching her to drive. So I wanted to send out my condolences to her parents and her siblings, Abby and John. On a lighter note, I had the privilege of uniting William Edward Davis Jr. and Robin Denise Hefner in marriage on the 3rd and received my customary fee of $100. This is my notice to council. I apologize, it was last minute. With personal funds, the mayor's office co-sponsored a basketball shootout at the Ricketts Center with Sharon Greenidge. And we were able to give away 4 laptops as prizes and provided fresh fruit, snacks, and refreshments to the kids. So now is normally when I go into like the list of events, but for this coming month and next month. But I want to spend the time to address an issue that has occurred and has been occurring in Pottstown regarding homeless and the police. First off, I want to especially thank Chief Markovich, Eric Weber, Creative Health, Goodwill Ambulance, the VA, Tower Health, and Street Meds. We had an elderly disabled veteran who has been displaced since earlier this year. And he, as you may have seen, was hanging out at the DQ Dairy Queen bus stop on High Street. The police got many calls about Daniel, that's his name. Daniel's been working with Creative Health and the police department and Tower Health and the VA for many, many months. And as you all know, there's a huge housing shortage in Montgomery County, and we don't have any shelters. So I met with Daniel, and I sat with him a couple nights and got him a cup of coffee, and we talked. Daniel is not a criminal. He was not a danger to himself. He was certainly not a danger to others. At most, he was guilty of littering. And that's it, but that's not an arrestable offense. And I know trash is unsightly. But the solutions that were proposed to round up homeless people in paddy wagons and take them to other counties and arrest these people for being homeless, those are not solutions, and that's never happening in Pottstown. I refuse to order the police department to arrest anyone who is not committing a crime or is not a danger to themselves or others. So, homelessness is a huge issue. I agree. It needs to be solved. We need to come up with solutions, but it's not a police solution. There is no police solution for homelessness. That is outside of our jurisdiction. The only reason the police get involved is because our police department is compassionate and are always willing to help whenever they can, wherever they can. It was not a police issue, and they went above and beyond, going to Tower Health, going to social work meetings, to find to find Daniel a home. And I'm grateful that he has found a home through the VA, and he was moved there last week. So, you know, look, there's homelessness everywhere. I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that people have come to council and proposed solutions and have proposed solutions that they themselves are willing to implement, and council has turned them down. So, again, we need to all work towards some sort of resolution. I saw in the newspaper that we are members of the task force now with Montgomery County for dealing with homelessness. So I'm hoping the representative from Pottstown will be able to enlighten us on those meetings going forward. That being said, I wanted to express a little verbal thank you note from the mayor's office to all the staff in Borough Hall, and Justin, Ginny, Chief. I just want to say it is evident that you care about Pottstown like your own home. Whether or not you reside here, you guys are here. Everyone that works here is here much more than they are at their own home. And I know it's hard to hear people complaining and ranting, and I just want to let you know that I know how hard you work for Pottstown. You know how hard you work for Pottstown. And I appreciate you. I think a lot of the disharmony has come from poor communication, and whether it's reading into a tone into text messages or an email or failure to keep someone in the loop, attending meetings with preconceived notions. the way we talk to each other and our constituents. We all need to be better. We have plenty of local issues to deal with on a daily basis, and life is hard enough. We don't need to make it worse by inventing new issues and spreading false information and bullying others to get our way. So that being said, I just want to say I appreciate all of you. Peggy, Deb, Tamara, everyone out here, even Mr. Madera. And I actually owe you an apology because you have been saying my voicemail is full. And while I had no voicemails, because they come through email, apparently deleting them from the email didn't delete them from the actual system. So now that has been taken care of. So I apologize, Mr. Madera. And thank you. That concludes my report.
Very good. And from the manager?
Yes, good evening, everyone. So I actually do have an update on the homeless task force that the county has put together. I am a representative in that group, along with about 20 or 30 other individuals from throughout the county. And right now, they're at their kind of conceptual project area endorsement phase. So they've come up with their top 3 project areas for endorsement. And they've come up with 3 based on the rankings of a couple criteria. So low barriers, low financial cost, and high impacts / chance of success. So the focus clearly from all 3 points were on the strategic placement of shelters, especially in areas outside of Norristown and Pottstown. Engaging faith-based partners to increase the number of faith-based organizations that can provide shelters. Localizing the homeless response, strategically placing shelters and mobile services for the unhoused, and it says again, especially outside of Norristown and Pottstown. Address zoning, especially to ease shelter establishment for faith-based organizations. So I'm just reading what the group came up with here, and there was a acknowledgement that that while Pottstown, Norristown carry their fair share, there needs to be other municipalities as well that join in to help out in that regard. Moving on, we did update our grants list, so I have that posted on the agenda for you to take a look at. So you will find the grants list updated for 2022 and 2023. And as you'll see with many of the recent grants announcements that we've had over the past couple months, we've been very successful in bringing back state, federal, and county tax dollars back to Pottstown with applications that were submitted. And then we have submitted 4 applications in 2023 so far, and then 2 of them were awarded for the transit. Borough-wide paving, that has been complete at this point. So we'll be looking to put together our list of roadways to pave next year, and then also next year the authority will do a main replacement project, and roadways will be paved as a part of that. So we'll get a little boost in mileage there. I'm happy to report that the Colbrookdale Trail connection down to Memorial Park was also completed recently. And lastly, the website homepage was updated with a new look to help aid in navigation for some of the hot topics. So you'll notice a new bottom banner with quick links to some of the most common items such as notifications, permits, payments, jobs, and service requests. And as an update, this has been we started out with our online service requests for trash. We've now opened that up for streets, so things like potholes or debris in the street lights, water service, sewer service, and then in the upcoming months, we're going to be adding L&I service requests for things like exterior property maintenance, tenant concerns, animals, abandoned vehicles, et cetera. So I'll update you all once that's fully up and running.
Mm-hmm.
And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. While I have you, I understand our 2022 financial audit is complete and looks good.
Yeah, the 2022 audit of Pottstown Borough's financial statements has been completed with no findings. The audit report is ready for council approval during the Monday night session. The audit was conducted by Malley, and it affirmed the accuracy and transparency of Pottstown's financial records. And I think that the positive outcome really highlights the dedication of our finance department and their commitment to financial integrity and responsible management of public funds.
Great, thank you. Vacant property registration program, Mr. Garner.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. As council,
You turned it.
the borough has an ordinance that requires the registration of vacant properties, and we have an agreement with Pro Champs to perform that service for the borough. Late last week, we as the administration learned and confirmed that Pro Champs had filed for bankruptcy protection in the United States Bankruptcy Court. In pursuant to our agreement with Pro Champs, that filing is tantamount to a breach and obviously would allow the borough to terminate that independent contractor arrangement with Pro Champs. Justin and Keith have already been looking for a substitute corporation to perform the same service that Pro Champs would be doing. We've located another firm that has also started working with some other local municipalities. We are presently working on an agreement with the new company, and if time permits, we hope by Monday to have an agreement that you can review and approve to substitute the new firm for Pro Champs, who would no longer be performing this service for the borough. I'm happy to answer any questions. If we can't get an agreement prepared by Monday, it would definitely hit your agenda next month. For right now, we're basically suspending any payments under the program, and we hope to have a new organization online very quickly so that we can continue the registration process. It's as much as I can share with you at this point, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
I'd just say that's disappointing. I mean, I think they worked very well for us for, probably 8 years, I think, if I remember correctly. But, they kind of changed their name, but I think it was the same company, for the amount of time. So hopefully find somebody.
Since 2015, we've been dealing with them, and we've never really had any problems with them, but they may have their own financial issues.
So we hope we find somebody just as good, if not better.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one of the companies that we're looking at actually is a former employee at Pro Champs that we had worked with before. So and they've started a new company. So there, if that's what we end up going with, there could be some continuity there. And then Chuck, I'll just mention that I think we're having some audio issues on our end. It's really hard to hear you, so if you could try to speak louder if you can, or get closer to the microphone somehow, and I'll try to do what I can on my end.
I'm having trouble hearing you as well, Justin. It's really difficult. I'll speak as loud as I can. I thought everyone could hear me, so if
And
that's
I
better,
can
let
hear
me
you
know.
fine online.
See, she sounds.
Sorry, Chuck. This is Lisa. I can hear you fine online, just so you know.
Okay, if you guys can't hear me, please let me know and I'll speak louder.
We can't hear you.
Justin, is that any better?
Yeah, we still can't really hear you that well.
That's got to be the audio in the room itself.
Well, we can.
Because you sound great, Lisa.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh, Chuck sounds great to me, too. Sorry.
What if he
I've been
disconnects and
checking everything to see if it's something on my end, but is it still bad, Justin?
You're quiet.
It's a little bit better that that you're closer, I think, but.
All right, well, I'll scream into the microphone then from now on.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions of council on this issue?
None. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Montgomery County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Yes, so this is now finalized by the county. It's been reviewed by our emergency management team, and it is ready for our approval on Monday night.
All right, we'll list that. Pottstown Borough Fire Department, ordinance amendment.
All right,
That's
so,
yours.
yeah, that's mine. So the proposed ordinance revision that we'd like to present to council would be to reaffirm the Goodwill, Phillies, and North End Fire Companies as the borough's fire protection service providers, as well as the fire companies that would be eligible to receive firefighter relief funds that are received annually from the state.
Okay. All right, no questions on that. We'll address that Monday. All right, Fire Department, the PSEP. That's you, Mr. Garner.
Okay, please let me know if you have trouble hearing me. I'm speaking as loudly as I can.
Okay.
This is a request by the applicant for the property at 405 Keystone Boulevard for a land development waiver. This is the former 84 lumber property. It's 10 acres in size. It has a significant number of buildings. The proposal is to remove or repurpose almost 15,000 square feet of those buildings and add building additions of about 18,000 square feet. I believe you have a copy of the plan attached to your agenda.
Yeah.
And you should also have a letter from the borough engineer. The borough engineer believes this is not a candidate for a land development waiver, but rather a minor land development submission. So on Monday night, you would be acting on this request, either granting a land development waiver or denying the waiver and have the plan move through a minor land development application.
Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll address that Monday evening. And 15, the Hill School Tennis Pavilion. That's yours, Mr. Garner.
Yes, Dan, this council recalls this is a project that has already received land development approval. The project consists of resurfacing the tennis courts, providing for a parking area and an accessory building. The Hill School has come back and asked that this project be phased from a construction standpoint. So they would like to first simply renovate the tennis courts, and the other components would come later. So you did not approve it as a phased project. We would break it down so that all the conditions would still remain in effect, but they would move ahead with the tennis courts first and the other improvements secondary. So if you're inclined to grant the request, this will become a phased project for purposes of construction. We would have 2 sets of development agreements, and we'd make sure that everything was completed in an appropriate fashion, but it would be phased, not all done at one time. That's what they're asking.
Okay. Questions? So we'll list that for Monday. And the Edgewood Playground, Mr. Garner?
Yes, this is the school district submitting a land development, and they are asking for a land development waiver. This is simply a playground. You have granted land development waivers for a similar playground up at Bright Hope previously. You should have a letter from the borough engineer. The borough engineer has no objection if this were treated as a land development waiver. So it would be before you on Monday night as to whether or not you would allow this to move through with a land development waiver process.
Very good. Questions? Hearing none, we'll list that for Monday. 17 is the Victory Christian Life National Night Out. We're asking for the closing, similar as last year.
Yes, so this will be August 1st on North Washington Street between Chestnut and Rowan Alley.
Right.
From 4 to 8:30.
Okay, everyone agree, we'll list that for Monday. 18 is a block party for Luke Johnson, Belmont Street.
Yes, that's on August 19th with a rain date of August 20th, between Reynolds and 8th Street from 4 to 10 p.m.
Good. Okay, we'll list that for Monday. And a Reading Gravity Race to close Wilson Street.
That would be September 10th with a rain date of September 17th between Farmington and State Street from 11 to 6 p.m.
Okay. Also list that, Jenny. 20 is the upcoming board vacancies for the Civil Service Commission, 1 6-year term, and Mark Gibson has requested to be reappointed. We'll do that in August, or is that,
It'd be ready.
You can do that.
Yeah.
we can do that? Okay, we'll do
Yeah,
that.
be ready Monday.
We'll do it Monday then. How about comments from citizens? Any online?
All right, as a reminder, everyone will have 3 minutes. Our policy is that we do not respond here tonight, but we'll get back to you to answer any questions you might have. So first up, we have Jamie Sanchez from Maplewood, 200 Maplewood Drive. 200.
Hi, everybody. The mayor touched on a few things that I have on my list. I am requesting that we become have more communication and more crime awareness on what things are going around. We're finding out more about crime in Pottstown from Montgomery County than we are from our own borough. Some of the board members are not approachable to some of their constituents. So I ask that you guys become more approachable. The 400 block, though I know PAID has put in a grant and the company that they are using is doing their due diligence, but they're doing their work, but the 400 block people are not. Before the parade, the block was trashed. On High Street? Oh, yeah. And Yeah. Yes. So I don't know the answer. There has to be one. We've had this conversation for years now. We have to stop passing the buck to each other. There's business owners on that block. They have to be held accountable. I don't know if it's an ordinance change or not, but we have to put our heads together. I asked the borough to use their Facebook page to get things out in the community that are going on, activities, things like that. There was something put on the Facebook page the other day about the Go Forth. There was a lot of errors in it. So I just asked if you're going to put things on it to be factual. I do want to know, because I had some people ask me, if the Leadership Academy class was going to be offered again to people, because some people have asked me. So, and the flags coming in from the Quake Club to High Street are still not fixed. That's all. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next up is Beth Desch, 248 Walnut Street.
Good evening. I am Beth Desch, the Executive Director of Pottstown Children's Discovery Center, and we wanted to personally express our appreciation for the borough's support and especially the recent approval of our use of the Hanover Street parking lot for the Climb On It event. It was a wonderful success. We had over 300 kids and parents there, and they loved it. I don't know if you drove past, but it was great. We had lots of trucks and vehicles out there, and the kids had a wonderful time. So I also want to thank Ginny and Justin and Dan for quickly moving it through. I know that it was kind of a last-minute request, so I certainly appreciate that. I'm also happy to announce that thanks to a generous donor, we will have a water exhibit in our interactive museum. And this is going to be manufactured with the ability to add a feature that will show the Golden Gate Bridge, which was actually, the steel was built here in Pottstown, so we're excited about doing that. That's something that's going to be coming. Again, I want to express our appreciation for your past support and look forward to working together as we go forward. And we have an anticipated opening date of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Wayne Fenstermacher, 1023 East High Street.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for being customer-centric. My experience with the borough has been very positive, and the responses I've gotten when calling in has been very positive. I do have one quick question. Who do we report so we had the trees replaced, had trees cut down by Pico this past year. Then the tree program planted trees. Ours did not, the one in front of our house, because I don't consider it ours because I can't remove it unless I have permission from the borough. But ours did not come back. It is a dead twig on High Street, in 1000 block of High Street, with dead leaves on it. I don't know who to approach with that, so if you can give me some guidance on that, I'd appreciate it.
You just did.
Okay. The next one, sorry. Next quick question. Where does progress stand on the removal of the smaller telephone poles that were upgraded as part of that process? We still have plenty of them. We have extra poles just kind of there. I understand what we were told last time was that the last person or the last company that owns a cable on the pole owns it. Maybe we can encourage more of them to get off of it so that the last person, we can encourage them to do something about those extra poles. I would like to say again, the communicating via Facebook and other social media channels, don't let other towns that are in the county make us look like we don't care or we don't know how to do it. Other ones are eating our lunch. Last question. Why does Borough Council not respond to questions that are made during a meeting when they're basic questions? I understand if it needs research. I understand if we'll get back to you on that. But if somebody can answer a question that's basic, it should be answered. Because the other people in the room and online might benefit from that. And not, because if you get back to someone privately, they may never hear that that answer was provided. Okay? That's it for me.
Thank you. Tamara Charles, please, 439 Walnut Street.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of Pottstown Community Action. This is the second year that we are putting on the Love Your Block program, and I'd like to leave flyers for you all to take. So this year, we have a deadline of July 31st, and we are offering mini grants of $250 to $1,500 for any Pottstown resident who would like to do any project that will beautify or improve their neighborhood or block. It's open to anyone. There's no criteria or anything like that. It's open to your imagination. And we are funded by the Health and Wellness Foundation, and our consultant is Cities of Service. They are from the Bloomberg Center for Civic Engagement, and they would like to do a site visit to Pottstown this summer. They've been very impressed that we are the first small town that they've worked with, but they're impressed with how much help we've gotten from people on our council, our mayor, and so many community partners that have helped Pottstown Community Action. Because we're just all volunteers trying to learn the way to do this, and we've gotten a lot of help. So please pass along the Love Your Block project. The only limit is your imagination. We'd like to take 10 applications this year and complete the projects. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Bruce Badera, 543 North Adams Street.
Good evening. I want to compliment the mayor on her very considered remarks. I think maybe I've been coming to council something like 30 years, and sometimes speaking, certainly always concerned and trying to get things done that need to be done. And I feel good tonight because coming here, I was working with Kyle in Public Works, and he's very good. He's responsive. And this makes the case for what Andrew has said. Get off Facebook and get in touch with people at Borough Hall and get things really done instead of blowing off on the computer. And as I just came here, I complained about South Evans Street being in bad shape. I don't live anywhere near there, but I'm just coming here, I see it's been taken care of. Now, the one person I can't go to, and nobody else in the 7th Ward, is our council person. We don't have representation, and I don't know what can be done about that. Lastly, quickly, we are advised having 3 minutes speaking here. Last month, a man spoke, and maybe I mistimed him watching the meeting on TV. But it seems to me he had about four plus minutes. Why do some people get shut down at 3 or less, and he got 4? He didn't quite hear, I was told. That was the answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Deb Penrod, please. 215, Amanda Smith.
Long time no be here. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Pottstown and as co-chair of the Rotary 4th of July Parade, I want to thank many people for the success of the parade yesterday, including in various roles, council members, the mayor, staff present here tonight. I saw Donald, Dan, Lisa, Trinita, Stephanie, Ginny, Ryan, and others. Also to Chief Hand for pulling together the fire, EMS, and fire police brigade, also the Pottstown Police Department, and the 50-plus parade units who participated in the parade, including many local businesses and organizations, both long-time and new. Among the newbies were a 12-year-old OJR student, 3-time winner of flat track motorcycle racing, and ponies from Gilbertsville riding stable, and of course my favorite, the airplane from the Experimental Aircraft Association, EAA. PCTV did a great video, almost an hour long, hosted by John Armato, which you can find on PCTV's website. And finally, to the zillions of our residents who came out to cheer and celebrate our community and 247 years of American independence. If any human on earth has missed today's coverage of the parade, I have a copy I'll leave here if you want to take a look at it or take it home. And as you may have read, and to echo Dan, the Amy's deserve credit for revitalizing the 4th of July as a summer event in Pottstown. See you all next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle Weaver, 556 King Street.
Good evening, Council and Madam Mayor. I'm here again to do my monthly complaint about the trash situation, particularly in the core of the borough. And as you had said before, I don't like to speculate on the causes or the reasons as to what could be causing the problem. I've heard multiple different ideas. Some people point to the citizens just not throwing away their trash and being disrespectful. Some people point to the homelessness because they believe that they're the main culprit of it. Some people believe it's whenever trash comes to pick it up because sometimes the trash blows out of the truck. But I decided to walk, not drive, walk the entire core from Manatawny Street all the way to the Hill School, which includes Sheridan, Grant, and Adams. And I walked east and west through High Street, King Street, Chestnut, Walnut, and Beach Street. I decided to count the publicly available trash cans that are available for citizens to put their trash in as they are walking. And I consider that as something that is either publicly available, such as the Hobart's Run trash cans, or municipality trash cans that are available there. And boy, the numbers are kind of uncomfortable to look at, because let's start on Beach Street. We have 3 Hobart's Run trash cans for the entire street. On Walnut Street, we have 2 Hobart Run trash cans and 1 Park trash can. On Chestnut, we have 4 Hobart Run trash cans. On King Street, we have 2 Hobart Run trash cans and 1 other, I can't quite remember exactly what it was, I think it was a Park. On High Street, we have 32 Big Bellies, 2 Hobart Run trash can, and 8 other municipality trash cans. Now, if we take the Big Bellies and consider them as 1 unit, that's 32. We're looking at the actual unit counts of the recycling and trash, that's 64. So there are 74 trash cans on High Street, 3 on King, 4 on Chestnut, 3 on Walnut, 3 on Beach. So High Street has literally 20 to 25 times the density of trash cans. And you can argue that that's because that's where all the businesses are, but I would like to argue that the citizens who walk in the most walkable neighborhood in the town have literally no place to put their trash can unless they go to a neighbor and open their lid and throw away the trash, or hold on to the thing until they walk maybe a mile more. By the way, that whole thing up and down, 5.5 miles that I walked in a day to figure this out.
15 seconds.
So, thank you.
Next up is Darlene Bainbridge.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody here, who most of you I did see out at the Go Forth Festival and the Rotary Parade, as well as a lot of people in the audience and maybe watching tonight. The parade and the Go Forth Festival have been one of the shining things that happen in this town every year. We work very hard. A lot of volunteers work very hard all year round to prepare for this, and we come out very early in the morning on the 4th. We're also out on the 3rd, marking spots for vendors and trying to ready the area as much as we can. When we come out on the morning of the 4th, knowing that we're going to welcome thousands of visitors and vendors from all over, and we're met with the trash and having to wake people up on the benches and ask them to move from Smith Plaza. It's a little bit disheartening, but it's not enough that, you know, we won't continue to do this. But I would just love for there to be maybe some collaboration in how we can team up with others, because come the 4th, we don't have like the entire group of volunteers to come out that morning to address things. We come out in shifts and everybody has jobs, but it seems that we could benefit from the help of maybe other organizations or somebody to help us ready our town to show it off, because there's nothing worse than when I have friends come in from out of town to see what we all work so hard for, and I get comments about, my gosh, but couldn't they just sweep up the streets? Or I have vendors come in and say, well, we had to remove a big pile of trash and that sort of thing. And I know trash is one of the biggest problems, it seems, in this town, and it's very frustrating to me. And I have done many cleanups over the years to go forth. Many of our volunteers have done the cleanups. We get tired of it because it feels like we're enabling people to continue throwing their trash down. And I think it all comes back to accountability. And you hold us property owners accountable for so many things, and we need to start getting the businesses accountable. We need to start putting people out on the streets to ticket citizens if they see them litter. I don't know, I mean, whatever it is that we can do, but I think we need to raise the standard. If we want better, we need to demand better, and I think we're capable of doing that. But that's really all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Deb Spence.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I am here asking for greater transparency to our local government. I love Pottstown. Any opportunity I have to say so, I do. The adjectives of beauty about the town flow from me all the time. Our borough is diverse, compassionate, and on the rise. I don't have any dog in this fight when requesting transparency. I maybe I'm naive to believe so, but I think transparency is a pillar of democracy. I don't do business with the borough, nor do I do business with any council person. I don't have one customer from or in Pottstown right now, and that's okay because I am free to say and do what I want. It is pure freedom and I love it. So I'm here again to request transparency. Please refrain from the backroom deals. They don't benefit regular folk, especially regular folk that look like me. It should be a level playing field, a borough hall that reflects diversity of our community. Again, I asked for that. I have a comment about the restrictive deeds, bike lanes, and a couple of other things, but I'm keep moving. If you all put restrictive deeds on a property, I like consistency. I prefer that you not remove it because someone barked about it a few months ago, Washington Street property, which I really think that's a crime, a white collar crime. It seems as if the restricted deed would be removed or not honored. And then Land Bank last week removed the restrictive deed, and it looks like another one to follow next month on a land bank property. I don't like how you bend the rules for quote unquote nice people because what's the definition of a nice person? The comment about the bike lane is that I like that someone thought into the future. It's awesome. I used it last year on a regular bike and then this year with an e-bike. But I wish there were bike racks to park the bike because when you go shopping, there's nowhere to put the bike. So then you don't really want to drive the bike to go or ride the bike to go shopping. But my most important question I have for you to get back to me is why are we removing restrictive deeds at the land bank? Outside of nice people, who is considered a nice person? I don't know what that means. I think it's relative. Um, Also, there's potholes behind Kime, between Kime and Roland Street on High Street, and in back of Wawa on High Street. And yes, I have a solution to the homeless problem. I presented it, but no one had any interest. And sorry, but not sorry that the go forth um, is inconvenient because there are people sleeping on the dirt, sleeping on benches.
That's your
So
time, Ms.
sorry,
Spence.
but not sorry.
And that concludes public comment.
Okay. Let me see. How about counselors? Any discussion? Counselor Proskal.
Well, of course, I'd like to thank the Amy's, the Rotary Club, the volunteers, and the police and EMS departments. And then for the parade and festivities, I always like talking to the Renaissance guys at a 10-minute lecture about the advantages of a short sword over a rapier. And then, of course, the little guys love the fireworks. They thought their head was going to blow up again this year, but they liked it.
Did they see the dragons of Pottstown?
I didn't.
No.
I don't think they did.
Your sons didn't?
No, the lizards you were talking about?
Yeah, they had them. They had like dragon wings. And they're like the
Oh,
dragons
well,
of
I'll make sure we catch it next year if they're there.
It was a great event. The parade was fun, and the fireworks were awesome. That's it.
Wonderful. Yes, sir, Andrew.
Yeah, I have a couple things to say. I've been a counselor for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And what I want to do is I want to thank everybody who comes in here and speaks. And I wish everybody would get more of their friends to come and speak. Because there's a lot of quality of life issues in this town, as Mr. Weaver points out every day, every month, okay, that aren't getting addressed. And that people are tired. They really are. And I hear, when I get frustrated, oh, Andrew, you're new here. You don't know the way it works. The way it works doesn't work, okay? The way I see government is as follows. Constituents people who live in Pottstown come up to us as counselors, as their representatives, as the collective, and say, hey, we have a problem. And then per protocol, what we're supposed to do is to instruct them to go to the responsible department to see if they can get some response. If they do not get the response, or the problem is not addressed, then they come back to me, and then I will ask the department for a solution to the problem. That's all, a solution. I don't expect anybody to be Batman, okay, and fight crime all by themselves. Just a solution. And then they bring the solution to Borough Council, and Borough Council is then responsible to find or allocate the resources available to address the problem. Given that as a background, that's how I view how government's supposed to work. And we try to resolve it by taking the advice of the professionals who are there, who we hire to address these problems. So now I want to go circle that back to this shelter issue. Constituent asked me about a shelter issue, and I instructed that constituent to go to the department head, and the department head said something that we hear far too often is, I can't do anything about it. I'm really not doing anything wrong, okay? And we hear he's a veteran and he's homeless, okay? And somehow that allows him to take exclusive possession of bus shelters because he's homeless and a veteran. It doesn't, okay? So what I received back when I spoke was, what do you want the police department to do about it? Well, A, that's not my job, okay? And B, what I responded is that I would like you to find out a solution for how we can solve this minor problem, which isn't homelessness, which is far above our pay grades here, but the issue of how do we possibly prevent the homeless from taking over a bus shelter in the future? How do we do that? And the answer that I got was as follows. Andrew, you are not permitted to speak to the police chief. You are not permitted to speak to any police officers, as I have instructed them to not answer you. You don't have that authority to do that. You may think you do, but you don't. And I am not going to do that. So you can all arrest me or whatever, bring me out in the chains, okay, because I had the audacity to say, hey, could you possibly come up with a solution? Could you possibly come up with a solution? You can't treat me any differently than anybody else. So, surprisingly, eventually what happened there was, fortunately, the gentleman was placed, okay? He was placed after months and months of everybody's time wasted. And if you didn't, next time, what are you going to do? Is it going to be another months and months? Next time somebody comes in there, the question is, how do we get those people to stop taking exclusive possession to the detriment to the exclusive possession of these bus shelters? That's a different problem than homelessness. And I think that's one that needs to be answered. Because that's a quality of life issue that people in this town deserve to have addressed. They deserve to have it addressed. It's not being addressed. One of the first things I had to do when I was borough councilor was some gentleman came up to me about a dog. His neighbor's dog was getting out. It was a pit, and he was frightened. He was frightened. His wife was frightened. Their dog was frightened. Everybody was frightened about this dog. Called the police 4 or 5 times. Was told the procedure he had to go through to report it, and he did. So I checked in with him last week, and he said to me, I said, how's it going? How's the dog doing? How's the situation doing? How's it going? He says, not a problem. It's all good. The dog got put down because it attacked someone. That was the problem I was trying to avoid by seeing if we could get something done, to see if the problem could be stopped. But no, the dog got put down because it attacked someone. That's not what Pottstown needs. But I will say, I found out on Friday, get an email from one of the volunteers at Edgewood Cemetery. You know that little cemetery that was abandoned, that a bunch of us got together and we cobbled up enough money to cut the grass and make it look respectful for those people who came before us? Those people? All right, well, so we have a little groundhog problem there, okay? So what we have done is found a little money to cobble together to hire a wildlife service to relocate the groundhogs. Not kill them, relocate the groundhogs. So, this volunteer walks the cemetery every day and lets the wildlife people know there's a groundhog there, there's an opossum there, or whatever, okay? Opossums are okay because they eat them. They're good bugs. They're good animals, okay? They eat bugs and ticks. They're great, okay? We have no problem with the opossums. Groundhogs go into the subterraneanness. They cause people dangerous situations to walk upon, and they topple the graves, all of which we have to fix with no money. And we don't get any from the borough, nor do we ask any from the borough. But anyway, I get this email from this volunteer and says, at 11 o'clock on Friday morning, she was met by not one, not two, but 3 Pottstown police officers who got a report of a caged opossum. That got 3 police officers out to hassle the woman who was just reporting that there was a animal in there, and they let the opossum out. Thankfully, the 3 police officers were there to let the opossum out. Does anybody think that's wrong? Anybody think that's a misallocation of resources? Did the police officer come and investigate the fact that the property damage that people have been doing to the traps because they don't want us to do that? Okay, has anybody? Did they say, hey, are you the person who's destroying the traps? Nah. Now, we all know I'm not too popular. If I was that kind of a person, when I say, but geez, that's Andrew's little thing. Would they be harassing Andrew's little thing? His little thing, because why? What purpose did that serve? To release an opossum. Thank you for saving the opossum. That's all I got.
Okay. Lisa, you have a comment?
Hi, I do. I'm going to turn my camera on. Excuse me, I was running after my nieces just till in the start of this meeting. But I'm glad I joined this. I had something to say. I am going to completely switch because some of these comments, I don't understand how we got here. So I just want to be clear. 4 years ago when I ran for council, I'm not a politician. I test medical software for a living. I did senior level customer support for a medical software company for 20 years. I ran because I didn't feel heard here. I ran because I had some of the same questions that people made comments about tonight. It's disheartening to be categorized and generalized and hear people mention council as a whole. We're individual people. And I'm sorry if you feel some of us are not approachable. I've had a very good relationship with my constituents for the last 4 years. People contact me, we have conversations. I don't publicize everything. That's not what I do. I try to make people's lives better. So if somebody has an issue, I would strongly urge you to come to me and not come in front of council and generalize all of us. I'd also like to say some of the things that have been reported about trash, like the 400 block, when there was a complaint made on the 4th of July, that was taken care of. But it is, again, disheartening that people want to come in public and only talk about the bad things. And we say we want to work together. It sure doesn't seem like it by this meeting. And that makes me sad. So on that note, I will switch to something positive and thank the Amy's for a wonderful day yesterday. I actually got to speak to 2 different people throughout the day that were not from Pottstown, that had never been to Pottstown. And they were so thrilled to be in Pottstown. They said they heard about the Go Forth, and so they just came to check it out. These were 2 separate people, and they loved our little town. They couldn't believe all of the people and how lovely it was and the good energy, and they noticed our axe throwing place and our playhouse, and were taken back by the variety of things that we have. So yeah, we got a lot of rough stuff. We got problems. We have litter, which, by the way, I spent a lot of yesterday picking up behind people that next to trash cans were throwing litter on the ground. So we got problems, but we also have a lot of really good things and a lot of people that are trying really hard. So while, yes, please come to meetings and contact your council people about the problems, but let's also talk about the good things in public and stop bashing each other. So I just wanted to specifically talk about me and just be very clear that don't categorize me, and I am not a politician. I left customer service to do quality assurance so I could run for council, so I could use my customer service skills to be a voice. So I'd like you to remember that, and if you have questions for me about my motives, about transparency, because I'm not a lawyer, I don't own a business in Pottstown. I ran for council because I wanted to be a voice. So please, let's have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Henry.
I also want to say thank you to this side of the room, which I seem to have overlooked. So thank you all, everyone sitting right here. And Kyle, I just want to say I agree with you on the amount of trash cans. I think that would be a helpful solution. I'm wondering if the trash issues for the 4th were as a result of trash day being the day before. Because I know I was driving back and forth on the 3rd on Monday, setting up the floats for the parade, and drove down Beach Street from the length of Wilson to Manatawny and was just like every block there was trash. And I stupidly forgot to put my trash out because I thought trash wasn't gonna come. So, but I noticed other people had their trash cans open. So I'm wondering if maybe that was one of the reasons why there was so much more than usual. But maybe we can try to work together with some organizations and get sponsorships for some trash cans. I like the Hobart's Run trash cans. I think they are very helpful, but like I was at the Ricketts Center the other day and all the kids are out in the front and all their trash is in the front, and there's a trash can across the street at Mrs. Boswell's house. And I'm yelling at the kids to go walk across the street while I'm blocking traffic to throw their trash away. I don't want to bother Mrs. Boswell and take her trash can, but maybe we can get another Hobart's Run trash can to put on the other side of the street just to make it a little easier and encourage kids to throw their trash away. And I want to thank Tamara for running the Love Your Block program. And don't leave after the meeting, because I want to talk to you. Maybe we can break off the block captain thing. And Kyle's already volunteered, he's going to be a block captain, but I think if I put together a committee, I think we can probably deal with the trash issue. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. I just want to conclude with, once again, thanking everybody who volunteered, as little or a lot, for all the activities we enjoyed yesterday. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned.